campaign rally in Great Falls, Montana, which is coming up in about an hour from now. Of course, we'll have that for you live. John Roberts joins us from the White House with the latest. John, you can't ever take a break. You got to be on your toes at all times at the White House.
Your head's got to be on a swivel 24/7 here at the White House. This is not a surprise. It's really been a long time coming. What has been a surprise to many, many people is how Scott Pruitt held on to his job as long as he did, given the controversy that was swirling around him. 14 different ethics investigations. But in his farewell tweet to Scott Pruitt after his resignation, you can see why he held on, because the president really appreciated what he was doing. President Trump tweeting, "I have accepted the resignation of Scott Pruitt as the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. Within the agency, Scott has done an outstanding job, and I will always be thankful to him for this." The Senate confirmed Deputy at EPA Andrew Wheeler will take over on Monday, assume duties as the acting administrator of the EPA. I have no doubt that Andy will continue on with our great and lasting EPA agenda. We have made tremendous progress, and the future of the EPA is very bright. Scott Pruitt issued his resignation in the form of a letter to the president. The administrator Pruitt shared that letter with me. I think the particular excerpt from that letter, the passage from that letter that is important here, is Pruitt saying, "I am stepping down as administrator of the EPA effective as of July 6th. It is extremely difficult for me to cease serving you in this role, first because I count it a blessing to be serving you in any capacity, but also because of the transformative work that is occurring. However, the unrelenting attacks on me personally, my family, are unprecedented and have taken a sizable toll on all of us." It's been well publicized, all of the controversies and scandals that Pruitt has been facing, but there was another one that was facing him, which may have been the most important at all. Congressman Ted Lieu, as well as Don Beyer, had sent a letter to the Inspector General at the EPA claiming that certain appointments in Scott Pruitt's calendar had been scrubbed from the official record because the meetings were with people that would have, quote, looked bad in the federal record, and not keeping proper federal records can be considered to be a crime. So that was facing him as well. Bernie Sanders of Vermont, a fierce critic of Administrator Pruitt, said Scott Pruitt was the worst administrator in the history of the agency. Congressman Tim Ryan, Democrat of Ohio, simply said it's about time in terms of Scott Pruitt's departure. Again, though, Dana, he held on where so many other people in an administrative capacity would not have been able to, simply because the president thought he was doing a good job. The president, during the campaign, railed against what he called onerous and duplicative federal regulations that were really handcuffing, he believed, industry from being able to create the sort of economy that President Trump thought was possible. And Pruitt was right there on the front lines of it, cutting those regulations. It certainly earned him a lot of enemies in government, at the EPA. In a breakfast that I had with Pruitt a couple of weeks ago, he thought that he was being targeted by people who wanted to see him gone. And today, he is gone. Dana?
All right, John, thank you for that. Pruitt's resignation comes at a pivotal time for the White House. We're also learning the president has narrowed down his short list to fill the Supreme Court seat being vacated by retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy. A source telling Fox News the president and his vetting team are focusing on 3 possible candidates who are among 6 he's interviewed. The big decision for the high court nominee is scheduled for Monday night. Meantime, the left is gearing up for a major confirmation battle over the president's pick.
Clearly, the president is looking at a list prepared by an extreme group that has an agenda that really wants to just ratify the president's policies.
So then the question is, if they're not able to withstand this onslaught, not able to hold back a justice that would reverse Roe, what happens? In essence, we go to 50 civil wars in each of the states, plus the District of Columbia.
If you think about our Supreme Court, it's the crown jewel in our democracy. And I do think that there is a risk that this nomination could move the court in a really dangerous direction.
All right, so we have the news about Pruitt resigning, but I really think that that's going to be superseded by the interest in who is going to get the nod to be the president's Supreme Court nominee. Kimberly, let me go to you first, because the president, as he's figuring out, okay, I've interviewed these 6 people. Maybe he has narrowed it down to 3, as the source has told Fox News, and then really it's just up to him as a decider who he wants to put up for the Supreme Court.
I mean, obviously, all the people are incredibly qualified. There's a list of 20. Then he added 5 additional names. And now the reporting that Fox News is getting is saying that he's, narrowed it down to these 6 that you see there on the screen. Obviously, incredible candidates. All of them could and should be confirmed. But I think the concern is just really down to the numbers. They're all qualified. Who, in fact, will be able to, get the confirmation and who might oppose it, in terms of the concern about there's, the 2 female programs that might not support perhaps like the female justice that's up, or perhaps one of the other ones could be complicated because of Roe v. Wade. So it may just come down to the votes and who might be able, of those 6 qualified people, to be able to go forward.
It is possible, though, Jesse, that because there are as many Senate Democrats who are up for re-election in tough states where the president won by up to 20 points, that those Senate Democrats that want to win again will listen to their constituents and decide to vote for him. And I could see a scenario where either the person cannot get the votes, or you get 54 or 55 votes approving this new justice.
Yeah, probably Manchin and Donnelly in South Dakota are going to vote for whoever. Yes, and Heidkamp are going to vote for whoever Trump puts up there. But my sources in Watters World are telling me it's down to 2.
Oh, okay.
Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Barrett. And Kavanaugh's got a great pedigree. He clerked for Kennedy, an influential guy who reaches across the aisle, not in the way, as a swing justice, but someone that uses the force of his personality to persuade other justices. He's a Yale guy, a Bush appointee, 53 years old. He has really strong judicial record on guns, on religious liberty, and on free markets. And he has a long record to look through. He's a constitutionalist, and people like that. Right now, he has the inside track. Considered the front runner. The Wall Street Journal editorial page endorsed him, as other top conservatives did as well. The one concern about him is he did vote kind of the way Justice Roberts did, or rule on the Obamacare case. He called it a tax, which a lot of conservatives didn't like. But he looks like a shoo-in, but a strong late surge by Amy Barrett. Social conservatives really like her, as well as, constitutional conservatives. She's only 46, and she's got a lengthy...
That's so young.
Very young. And she's got a great record of scholarship that shows her as someone that respects religious liberty, as well as the Second Amendment. She already went through a confirmation. And got through unscathed. And I think the rack on her from the Democrats was, she's dogmatic. She's going to let her Catholic faith belief influence her rulings. And she really expertly kind of deflected that accusation. But in terms of a strict constitutionalist, an originalist, and a textualist, a lot of very conservative people like her a lot, and she's, mother of 7 children, and would, again, be on the court for a very, very long time.
Concern is Roe v. Wade there, 100%. That
right.
Would go against her simply on those grounds.
Yeah.
She'd be someone
and on the Obamacare piece, as I just had somebody on my show today explaining it, Richard, that Kavanaugh's was what he said was this court cannot rule on that, but the 4 justices who voted against Obamacare used Kavanaugh's ruling in justification in order to go against Obamacare. It's just that Roberts went the other way.
Right, and I think Kimberly's right. This is going to come down to the 2 women, the one from Alaska and one from Maine, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, and how they vote. And it's also going to come down to how hard can Chuck Schumer hold his caucus together. And we saw what Mitch McConnell did 2 years ago to Merrick Garland, where he sort of invoked this Mitch McConnell rule where they hold during an election year. And I think Democrats...
Presidential election year.
No, listen, the sound was election year. Now they're changing the rules to make it a presidential election year. But that's cool because Mitch McConnell likes to change the rules for his benefit.
Oh my gosh, the whole reason you're in this position, Richard, is because of Harry Reid.
Fair, listen, we can call it what you want. It's a Mitch McConnell rule, and we're sticking to it. And we're going to invoke the same Mitch McConnell rule, and hopefully with the help of both Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, Democrats will hold together. And here's the thing. It's not that we are against having somebody who's conservative. If you put up a justice that's similar to Kennedy, I think you will get the 60 votes and you won't have a problem. If you put up somebody who's far to the right, similar to Justice Neil Gorsuch, you're going to have a problem with Democrats and with some Republicans.
But so somebody like Brett Kavanaugh that clerked for Kennedy,
I think President Trump is very clear. He says, quote, Neil Gorsuch was a home run and I want another justice just like him, and that's going to be a problem for liberals, and that's going to be a problem for the two women that Republicans
Tyrus,
need.
do you want to
just
wrestle?
my source from the Greg Gutfeld show just told me it's going to be a good pick.
Okay.
It's going to be a right pick, and it's fair.
And it's brilliant.
And the Mitch McConnell rules are relevant because we have the House, we have the Senate, we have the president, so it's our pick.
There you go.
It hurts. It burns
there
a
you
little
go.
bit.
And he won the election.
And it
That's
really
all I
is.
watched.
I really am enjoying this view between Jesse and Tyrus. I look like Tinkerbell, maybe.
You're like,
But I have a
valley
big
between
voice.
two
I have a lot to say. Coming up next, Hollywood celebrities celebrate the 4th of July by slamming President Trump. The outrage from the left. Next.
I feel like this is.
And we were trying different things, and we were smoking funny things, making love out by the lake to our favorite song. Why don't you just meet me in the middle?
Talk about anti-Trump extremism. The left going to new lengths to protest the president on Independence Day. An immigration activist arrested for scaling the Statue of Liberty in court this afternoon after being slapped with misdemeanor charges, including trespassing and disorderly conduct. And Hollywood liberals are piling on, using the 4th of July to attack Trump instead of celebrating the country, including comedian Chelsea Handler tweeting her apology to the world for President Trump, and filmmaker Michael Moore urging the resistance to continue their revolt. And those are just two examples. Richard, why can't you guys just love America like the rest of the country? Why do you have to politicize our nation's independence?
I love America, and I think both Chelsea Handler as well as the filmmaker loves America as well. I think what we're saying is that we disagree on policy, and we're using the 4th of July to talk about it. And there's reason to disagree on policy. There's 2,000 kids at the border that can't find their parents, where our deficit is at the highest ever been since World War II, right? Not to mention the fact at midnight tonight we started a trade war with China. There are reasons for us to protest and be upset where America's going.
What do you think about this wacky woman, Kimberly, that jumps on the Statue of Liberty
he jumps over the facts.
and causes all sorts of disruption among the police force and the Coast Guard on our nation's independence? And she's got a long track record of doing goofy things and wasting taxpayer money.
Well, also dangerous things. That's a public safety risk, too, if she fell or what could happen below. And also, then you have first responders and people risking their life because she's trying to do a political stunt. I think it's very selfish. You know, this is something that the law should not allow because it's a risk. It's not just like holding up a sign or writing an article. It's actual conduct that puts other people's lives at risk. I mean, you just can't do this. I mean, it's disappointing. You know, I don't know. People are just trying to get attention. And like you said, she's got a history of doing this type of thing. I'd be very frustrated if I had to be the one or a family member that had to go to try to rescue this woman, not to mention the taxpayer dollars, which she should have to reimburse.
Well, and not only that, but the NYPD on a day like the 4th of July needs to have all eyes and ears and resources trying to protect people who are going to be in large crowds. That's what they should be doing.
And also, this does not look good politically for the Democrats. It draws attention to their lack of patriotism. And that's proven in the polls. I think there was a poll. I think Democrats are about half as patriotic as Republicans.
Okay.
Oh my God, look at Richard.
We're all
like,
patriotic. Going back to Richard's point, there are some issues, and I'm all for citizens expressing their right to protest, stuff like that. But my only critique was I just can't keep up with them all. Like, she's scaling the Statue of Liberty to slide down it. Then you have Moore is asking for a revolution, which those words in itself, he's not going to do that. But the people who listen to him and believe him are going to put their bodies on the line
and get arrested.
And get arrested. Is he going to bail them out?
But Tyrus, so I get this outrage, but where's the outrage when people like David Duke has rallies in Charlottesville?
Oh, I'm the first one with you. I'm outraged about that stuff too.
There was a lot of outrage there, Richard.
But it's the same. But that's my point. So the outrage happens on both sides. There's extremism on both sides that we need to acknowledge, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there's still 2,000 kids at the border without their parents, a trade war that starts at midnight,
no, but let me,
and a $21 trillion deficit all ran up under Donald Trump. When you guys were the deficit of the party, you guys were the party of the deficit hogs.
You're confusing debt and deficit. But
we could talk about the $1 trillion spending bill and the $1.5 trillion tax bill.
You've never concerned yourself with spending.
I actually have. Pull the tape.
So you're bringing up the family separation policy, and I do think that that was a bipartisan concern. The president backed down. He changed the policy. There is the problem of the reunification.
Yeah, they have to use
and
DNA
instead of
swabs
talking about that, because of these stunts, and also calling for the abolishment of ICE. Now the Democrats once again have given the upper hand back to the Republicans on this issue.
I'll actually give you that point, Dana.
Radical.
But with that being said, it doesn't take away from the humanitarian crisis to the point where the government has done so bad that they can't find the parents can't find their kids. They have to use DNA tests now.
But I think DNA is good, though, because it also takes care of another little problem, children smuggling. And I can't find little Tony anywhere. Well, sir, he's not really your son.
Well, remember, the government promised, according to HHS Secretary Nielsen, we know where all the kids are, we know where their parents are, they're attached to numbers. Clearly, the attachment to numbers thing was a lie, and now we're using DNA tests to find them because we've done such a horrible job.
Well, I think
under President Trump.
We can address the children at the border separation, and we have addressed that, but the point
it's a humanitarian
that we're
crisis.
talking about right now is when you scale the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
What
it's
that
just
does,
as bad as a freedom of speech rally in Charlottesville.
Politically to the Democratic Party, and then what that does by wasting valuable resources by the NYPD, I think is a misdirection and a misuse of freedom of speech.
So
and
would
I don't think that reflects well on the Democratic Party, because anybody that looks at that, they don't think, oh, children separated at the border. They think there's some crazy woman ruining the day for the rest of the people that actually are working to protect their safety.
So doesn't that same argument apply to what happened in Charlottesville? Shouldn't those police officers be actually responding to real crime instead of following around David Duke?
I think this is a little different than Charlottesville.
No, it's not. Somebody actually died in Charlottesville. It's actually worse what happened in Charlottesville.
I understand.
So don't mix apples and oranges
here.
Okay,
these are two different situations.
No, they're really not.
All this fruit talk
they're two extremists protesting.
So we're going to go to break. The Democratic Party officially endorses socialism. The video up next.
I'd have left her up there. The battle for the future of the Democratic Party is on. Just a week after 28-year-old Democratic Socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's stunning primary win, DNC Chairman Tom Perez is embracing her as the future of the party.
I have 3 kids, 2 of whom are daughters. One just graduated college, one is in college, and they were both texting me about their excitement over Alexandria because she represents the future of our party.
Meanwhile, new polls show Dems are undecided about a leader for 2020. And let me just say, it is way too early for Dems to be, we're supposed to be undecided. Donald Trump was not the leader of the party at this point in time in his career. Kimberly?
Oh, so no need to hit the panic button, right, for the Democrats?
No, not at all.
Oh, well, I mean, there should be cause for concern because they don't have, so far, a good candidate that's emerged, and they don't have really a platform that seems united. There seems to be really such a push towards liberal-like extremism to the point where you've got theatrics like climbing the Statue of Liberty. You've got calls for violence. You really don't have a platform agenda. I mean, what is it? Don't make the economy great, like undo that, reduce tax relief.
Kimberly, come on. I think our agenda is pretty clear. We want affordable health care. We want high-quality public education. We want ends to meet for working families. I think we have a very clear agenda.
I think
we think prescription drug costs are too high, and we think Republicans are doing nothing about it.
Well, I think if you guys had a stab at making health care affordable and it bombed.
You guys had 2 years to fix it, and you all have done nothing.
Premium skyrocketed. But, Richard, if the future of the Democratic Party is socialism, then the Democratic Party has no future. This woman is a bright woman. She's very attractive and young and energetic, but she shouldn't be the future of the party. She's extreme left. She represents a very small radical base in the Bronx, and now she's being tapped as some mini celebrity within the party, and her endorsements actually matter. I'm shocked. I would love to see her face someone like Bret Baier, face a tough interview where she actually has to explain Waters World, open invitation, explain her positions and say how she's going to pay for it. I don't know if she has that inside of her yet, but it's a little too young to think this woman
by
is
Poppy
the next
Harlow,
Barack
and very
Obama.
tough journalist, and she's answered all those questions. Number one.
Poppy
number two, and more importantly.
Poppy who?
Harlow.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, you should pay more attention.
Wow.
Number two, I think the Republicans are running their fair share of far left, far right candidates, including Corey Stewart, who's an alt-righter out of Virginia, who is the nominee for Senate, who is literally pals around with racists.
He doesn't want to abolish ICE, that I know.
But so you're okay with endorsing a racist for Senate?
I don't know who he is.
Well, if he's running for your party for Senate.
Well, I'm not a Virginian.
And he uses the word Yankees and Southerners.
I need to get a referee shirt. I think I have one in the back.
But either way, like I said, Democrats are going to run 435 different races, and what Ms. Cortez is running in the New York 3rd is going to be very different than what we're running in Alabama, what we're running in Missouri. We're going to run different races all across the country, just like you guys are doing.
I wish you the best of luck, Richard.
And we're going to win.
The point is, it's early. It's too early. And number one, if I was part of the Democratic Party and I had a dark horse candidate I thought was going to do some things, I would keep him under wraps too. Do you really want to stick your head out of the rabbit hole this early and have to deal with Donald Trump for the next 2 years going after you? No. So if you do have somebody, keep it on the D-low. Just keep it low. That would be my advice. I'm not here to argue.
Look at our graphic right there. Dems divided. I mean, that really is just a beautiful graphic, isn't it? Big, it's beautiful.
But I think none of these individuals are going to be the nominee for our party in 2020.
But nevertheless, it's a whole ideology that they're divided. Extremism, socialism,
so are the Republicans. You guys are running a racist out of Virginia. He's a racist.
I do
for Senate out of Virginia.
I do think, though, Richard, if she gets too problematic for the Democratic Party, they're going to kneecap her Bernie Sanders style. They're going to rig it against her because the establishment can't afford to have some sort of lightning rod that's going to divide the party and go against Wall Street and make everybody else look bad. I think she's going to win
and be the next congresswoman from that district.
Yeah, I do too, but not the nominee.
Dana?
I would say that one big difference, you make a good point about Corey Stewart, but it's not the exact same. It was Tom Perez, the head of the DNC, who said she's the future of the party. Ronna McDaniel has not said that Corey Stewart is the future of the Republican Party.
I mean, isn't the president the head of the party?
Well, I don't think that he tweeted about him since.
He's tweeted about him after he won his primary and said congrats and look forward to you winning.
I'm going to say,
and then somebody probably whispered in his ear and he probably went, oh, damn, never mind.
The other thing is, though, I think that you also see there is an age problem. For the Democrats, that leadership, Pelosi, Hoyer, and Clyburn, their collective age is 234 years. And you see the restlessness. Tom Perez talks about his daughters and all the Bernie bros, like, right? Everybody was like so young, and there is a divide. And I think that the grassroots are angry. They're frustrated. It reminds me a lot of the Tea Party movement. And so the establishment Democrats are having to figure out how they can bring in this new young talent but still win elections, and that might not be all that easy.
And I think we're doing it, though. I think if you look at we're running veterans, we're running new faces all across the country, and that's why we're going to win this primary, and we're going to win back the House pretty easily.
But it makes it hard for those people like MJ Hager, who has to then defend against somebody like Maxine Waters calling for all of this harassment.
I mean, just like the Republicans, you guys
with all due respect, as long as the economy swole like my arms, I don't care who you got running anything, it's not going to happen. Like the economy.
Like better your arms than my arms.
And we'll keep it. But as long as we got good economy, Republicans will run.
I mean, we'll find out at midnight when we start our trade war with China.
Oh my goodness.
Coming up, some companies are starting to embrace the ideal of sleeping on the job. That's next.
You may remember this classic scene from the movie Office Space.
Corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking. Just a moment. Corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking. Just a moment. Corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking. Just a moment.
As you can see, there's distractions in the workplace. All those emails and phone calls are bombarded with every day can put a strain on your productivity and your brain. Research estimates it could reduce your workers' IQ by 10 points, the equivalent of losing a night's sleep. So how can we get employees in the best mental state? How about a nice nap? A growing number of companies are encouraging sleeping on the job with high-tech napping pods and rooms to make a more productive workplace.
You're not buying this.
No, I don't believe this for 1 second. No, this is too much watching World Star and arguing with your girl in Texas and too many WhatsApp apps and all that kind of stuff. People doing stuff, working on their own careers, they're writers, they're acting gigs, and all the stuff that I do behind the scenes of the Greg Gutfeld Show. So this.
But that was a great read, though.
Yeah,
I like really nice. You really conveyed sort of your thought process.
Like I captured the art of embracing taking a nap at work, which most of us who won our first jobs did nap at work, and that's why we didn't keep our jobs. So I have issues with this. Like if you have a security job, you kind of got to stay awake, right? Or you're watching a nuclear plant, can you take a nap?
No, like unless you're Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
You can fall asleep on the job. I don't want us to spend money on napping pods. I think that sounds bad, and you can't really do that in the news business. You got to stay ahead of the curve. I do want kind of like a hot food station here at Fox. Right now we have salad stations, and then they do the sandwich and they put it on a hot press. But like, what about a burger? Or a hot dog or something on the grill? If we could incorporate that instead of the napping pods, that's what I'm looking for.
You're going to add itis to the argument, which you eat a lot of heavy meat, you go to sleep. So that's wrong.
No, I don't fall asleep. I perform better when I've had protein.
I've never heard of that. Dana, you're a multitasker, correct?
Yeah, well, actually, the truth is, I actually believe that it is impossible to multitask. So if you are trying to do several different things at once and you think you're handling it, the truth is you're really not. And the better way to do work is to focus on that one thing and then maybe get up and make the phone calls or look at Twitter or whatever, but then to come back and focus, because multitasking is not real. It's not, it doesn't really happen.
I know you can multitask.
I can, but I actually agree with Dana on this. I think the most productive especially when I'm prepping for this, when I'm prepping for the 5, I call it a work block, where I don't answer my phone, I don't check email, I just prep for the show.
You prep for the show?
Wow.
You know what?
What's that like?
Waters with
we know you don't prep for the show.
I mean, if this is you prepared, I'd hate to see you.
We know you prep for the show because you're fabulous.
Somebody's spicy. Order in the court.
Throwing
we know this is this factlessness happening right here.
Bail me out, KG.
I don't know. You need a lot of help right now with this. Jesse's throwing shade. I don't know. Richard, you seem very prepared.
But when you, because we didn't grow up with phones and they're new to us, though, but when you are raising a youngster like your son, like, how do you make sure that he can do his homework without worrying about any sort of social, like, not that he's on social media, but games and stuff?
Right. But he has a schedule.
Okay.
Right. And I think it's very good. Like, much like we, train dogs, animals, children, people respond well to a schedule. So he knows, like, when he comes home, it's time, like, for a snack, right? So he gets to eat something before he does his homework. And then after he does his homework, and I've checked it, then he can go ahead and do something that's, like, recreational, play a game, or, go outside, etc. It just depends. So, and he responds to that. Then he eats dinner at a certain time. Then he takes shower every night.
What's the Pavlov dog
But
theory?
look at how well he's turned out.
When he does his homework, his mouth starts watering.
And he takes a shower, and he has an after-dinner healthy snack, like sliced apples or something like that. And then he goes to bed at a certain time.
I need to get my life in order.
Jesse, that actually might work for you. That might keep you on task.
The research talks about getting a good night's sleep. Like, if you get your 8 hours in, supposedly that'll help you be more productive at work too. So stop staying up late, binge watching
Netflix
or the Greg Gutfeld show,
or looking at your phone.
Yeah, or staring at your phone. Staying up late and not getting enough sleep does affect you in your workplace.
That's true.
You got to get your 8 hours in.
On the day off yesterday, on the 4th of July, I overheard this younger girl. She's probably like 21.
You were eavesdropping?
And well, no, she was very loud.
Oh.
But she said that it was something like 10 a.m. and they said, "Oh, are you just getting up?" And she said, "Well, I need my 10 hours of sleep. I heard it on a podcast."
Well, that's interesting. But it's very good for children, too.
Yeah, if you're 6, 10 hours is great.
Yeah,
if you're an adult, you get your behind up and get to work.
You pay attention in school, and if you get a good night's rest and you're on a schedule, because a lot of children that suffer from, like, attention deficit disorder or different things or learning differences, it really helps if you have a schedule and you have that structure and get rest.
So no one in here is in favor of naps?
I'm okay with the power nap in the middle of the day.
Of course.
No, but not at work.
Wait, what's the difference?
You could be in the group. You just want to. Very wrong of you.
What's the difference between a power nap, though, and a regular nap?
Power nap
is like 20 to 30 minutes.
It's shorter in duration.
A regular nap's
30
90
minutes.
Yeah.
A regular nap's
there's like 5 news cycles in 30 minutes.
Who does what? Really?
I take
There's a nap commission.
I thought there's there's science at the. I don't know.
There's science to how, like, a 30-minute nap.
You know who was a great napper?
What about resting your eyes? What does that fall under? Because I'm good at that. If I wasn't sleeping, I'm resting my eyes.
Margaret Thatcher was an excellent power napper. She could just take like 2 or 3 minutes and then she'd be back ready to go.
No, that's
all right. Fox News alert. President Trump just landed in Great Falls, Montana, ahead of his Make America Great Again rally coming up at the top of the hour. We'll bring you to you live when it happens. Stay tuned to Fox News. There's a guy walking.
Oh,
we're talking?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't say to keep talking.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, the president just arrived in Montana.
Yeah, so big rally
Sky
tonight, 6 o'clock, and I think it's going to be probably another stem winder which will have the liberals apoplectic. And these rallies, he really connects with the base. Probably Fox News will take it live in full, and CNN will not take it and then get destroyed
let's
in
talk
the
about.
ratings.
I mean, let's talk about the
You're going to
race.
see
Let's
more
talk about
of
the
the
actual.
president.
Let's talk about
there.
the facts.
Okay, let me just finish. You're going to see more of the president coming up into the midterms on the road, connecting with the audience in these states where they need to flip the Democratic seats.
So this seat is
he's
actually
going to put a lot of pressure on these Democrats in these districts.
So this seat is actually going to be very hard to flip.
All right. I have news. I was just told it. So apparently the president did a gaggle with reporters on the plane, and it was a couple of days ago that he talked to Scott Pruitt, the now resigned EPA administrator. So the president knew that this resignation was coming. He was expecting it, and it is effective tomorrow, the 6th of July.
Well, some of his scandals were a little silly. Like one of his scandals that he made his staff get him snacks. I mean, if anybody's worked for any boss, the boss will sometimes make you get snacks. On the other hand, another scandal, okay, Richard, just relax.
But it's against the law.
Another scandal, he spent $30,000 in taxpayer money on soundproofing his office. Not a good look.
So, or how about the $5,000 on pens and journals?
Yeah, that's a lot of money on pens and journals.
Or sending his staff to buy used mattresses from the Trump Hotel.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend Scott Pruitt's spending.
Well, he's part of the Trump
But I will say that it's
he just got drained, though, so that's a good thing. Because he just got drained.
2 years.
His deputy is pretty good, and the Trump administration's environmental policies and conservation policies will still remain
But
the
I thought
same.
Trump, I thought Trump like sort of ran on the whole idea of draining the swamp, and this guy is the epitome of the swamp.
Well, he's not there anymore.
He's not there anymore.
Oh, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him fish, right?
And this is, yeah.
Joey Chestnut consumes over 20,000 calories in 10 minutes at this year's 4th hot dog eating contest. Wow. Kimberly's food court is next.
This is a Fox News alert. President Trump arriving in Montana for a campaign rally, and he's commenting on the resignation of EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt, saying the White House has been talking about it for a while, and it has been in the works for a couple of days. We're keeping an eye on that. But right now, it's time for Kimberly's Food Court. Yes. All right. Well, he is the hot dog eating king once again. You know him, right? Joey Chestnut chowing down a record 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes at the Nathan's famous July 4th hot dog eating contest at New York's Coney Island Boardwalk. It was the 11th time he won the coveted mustard belt. God, I wish I had that. Meanwhile, in the women's competition, Miki Sudo bested her competition by eating 37 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
But 3 minutes would have been amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be.
I can't even watch that.
Can you imagine? I think it's very impressive. I think it takes a lot of mental discipline to be able to eat that quickly.
An amazing
graphic.
This is a gorgeous graphic behind you. I just wish you would feast your eyes on this because
that's pretty
it looks
amazing.
amazing. Yeah, and you know, as a competitive eater that I am, I can tell you the preparation that goes in mentally, like the night before, and you got to be careful about your diet, what you have before you go into these competitions. We all were talking about what would we be, competitive with if we were to be one of these. Obviously, I feel very well-versed to do chicken wings because I am the reigning champion around these parts.
She is. Don't ever bet against her.
Dana, right?
Always ask her to be on your team. I've never seen anything like it. She is a competitor of the highest degree.
Order.
You would want her on your team.
No, I'm not playing. I'm not eating that many hot dogs for nobody. I don't look at that as a real sport.
But what did you choose if you were to have something to eat?
Oh, I chose pie because everyone loves pie, and it's lemon meringue pie. But real quick, I actually did win a food eating contest one time in Laredo, Texas. I beat John Cena in a 72-ounce steak eating contest.
No way.
Smashed him.
That's pretty cool.
How long did it take?
It was about 30 minutes. A lot of side bets, but I was the people's champion that night.
No. Oh. You have the pie. Dana, this was hysterical.
I thought that this was pretty funny. That if I were to choose like what I could eat to win, I chose M&Ms.
You could eat like 3?
No, you could eat a whole bunch of M&Ms. Like if you're going by the number, then I could actually probably win if I did something like that.
You have to use 2 hands to hold one M&M.
But this is hysterical. It's like she's like cute and little, and like the M&Ms are little.
So I'm going to give these. I'm giving these to Jesse for his office.
Thank you very much.
He's going to eat all of those for sure. Jess, what did you pick?
I got McNuggets.
Yeah, you love those.
I was going to get shellfish, but I got scolded one time for doing that, so I went
your first week.
My chicken nuggets and barbecue sauce, and I'm ready to take on all challengers. I know I'm the newcomer to the table, but that belt's not secure. That mustard belt, Kimberly?
Yes.
I might be wearing that at the end of the show.
Are you talking about to compete with me? Because that would be a foolish idea.
Would we have the same food, or would we compete nuggets versus wings? How would it go down?
Well, I think either way, you would lose.
Are we doing this then? Because Richard chose shrimp cocktail, which is like ridiculous.
I'm the guest. I chose shrimp
because... This is a salad.
I mean, like, how are you going to eat that in a
You
contest?
totally botched this.
Oh, no, I'm going to still beat you.
You just want it to be different.
Don't underestimate me, America.
But
don't
in a minute or so that we have, should we have you throw down?
I'm just going to start.
Go, one.
His are like soft. Mine have all the hard part on her.
Who do you think's going to win?
I don't care. I'm going to eat pie.
Okay, you're eating pie.
Let them eat pie. Let them eat cake.
What'd you say, Mina? Oh, 1 minute. Okay, go.
Dana, you're not doing any of it.
No, I'm not, because I'm emceeing this event. Okay, so Richard might win because he's like throwing down all that shrimp. He's not. Jesse's kind of disappointing me. It's
I don't
not like
feel so well.
Look it. I'm gonna win.
Yeah,
low calories, people. Low calories.
KG and it's not
This
even
was
close.
a bad idea.
But that's a big bite that you just took out of that pie.
But I'm taking my time. It's pie, so
You just gotta let it. Wow, she's gonna win.
Yeah, it's not even close.
I'm in the lead here. I only have like 2 shrimps left.
I underestimated Kimberly.
Yeah, no, I told you, never ever bet against her.
But you got to eat all the salad too, bro.
No, that's not part of the rules. It's just the protein.
It's just the protein.
Oh man, I don't feel so good.
Winner, chicken dinner. One more thing up next.
Eat it. Get yourself an egg and beat it.
Okay, President Trump is on his way to a campaign rally in Montana. It's set to start at the top of the hour. Right now, it's time for one more thing. I'm going to go first because I have a special guest. This is Spike. He's a service puppy for Canine Companions for Independence. He's really into Tyrus's arms. These are dogs that are much needed. And the producer of the Daily Briefing, Jen Williams, she's here over there taking pictures. This is a 5-month-old puppy that she is raising. She will take care of him for 18 months and make sure he hits all of his benchmarks, all the training. And then after that, he goes to more specific training where he will learn how to open doors, turn on and off lights, and learn how to take care of someone. Jen's had him since he was 8 weeks old. And if you go to foxnews.com/thedailyspike, you'll learn more about Canines Companions for Independence at cci.org. And then you can apply for a dog, or even better, you can apply to figure out a way to help this organization. A lot of people need dogs, and we love Spike. And this is his first time on the 5, but I think he just wants Tyrus. Okay, Jesse, you go next.
Tyrus has a new best
we
friend.
rubbed the chicken on him. My chicken.
All right, just don't eat my nuggets. All right. Next, we have a bouquet gone wrong. You know how the brides throw the bouquet over and the bridesmaids go nuts? Look at this scene. It was a wedding of Thomas and Deanna Morgenthaler. I think we have the footage, and it's pretty wild. Oh! Ouch! She low. Was that a low bridge, or did she hit her high and someone else went low?
Down goes Frazier.
No one was hurt.
Down goes Frazier.
And yeah, I mean, it's competitive with the bridezillas out there and wannabe bridezillas, but everyone's okay, and happy wedding to the Morgenthalers.
Indeed. All right, Kimberly, you're next.
Hi. All right. So this is very cute. One more thing in this video shows a Houston police officer dancing with a girl who's in a wheelchair at a party. And this is a quinceañera party, and it's very cute. The DJ was working this quinceañera, and he looked up and he spotted this sweet moment. The officer, Sandy Fernandez, was working as security for the event. He spotted a little girl in a wheelchair watching everybody else dance. And so he then asked her to dance and spent about 3 songs twirling her around the dance floor. Fernandez said that she smiled the entire time for him. There were no words to describe the incredibly beautiful moment. And this was on the Houston Police Department Facebook page. And it says, this is what relational policing is about. So far, 54,000 views.
I love that. And now millions more, thanks to you.
Yes.
And a great one more thing. All right, Tyrus.
My one more thing is Greg vacation news featuring Tyrus.
Are you going
The news is Greg's been bothering me with emails about a viral tweet thread that's while he's enjoying his Hawaiian vacation. For those of you who aren't familiar with the story, basically a Texas couple asked to switch seats with a woman on a flight so they could sit together, and apparently love was in the air, and they immediately hit it off, and they started tweeting about their stuff. Greg is convinced that this story isn't quite on the up and up and finds it a little suspicious, and which led to some emails back and forth with me where I was frantically telling him, bruh, you're on vacation.
Right.
Be on vacation. The world can wait. But, you know, Greg's such a visionary warrior for.
He can't stop. He likes to sniff out. I thought that story was very sweet. The couple, they meet on the airplane,
Greg's
and then there's like romance. And like, I met my husband on an airplane.
I have my suspicions. I'm going towards hoax. The two people were fitness models looking for work, and the people doing it with the actress. I feel like they were being hoodwinked and bamboozled, and if not, I would be. And what if it is real, and one of those people were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, and you know, putting all their business out there?
Oh, you and Greg are skeptics. Dana and I believe in true love.
We do. We believe in it. We believe in it. Spike, do you believe in love? Richard, you're next.
All right. So one of my new favorite shows is on our sister channel FX. It's called Pose. It's set in the 1980s. Pose is a dance musical that explores the juxtaposition of the segments of life and society in New York. Making TV history, Pose features the largest cast of transgendered actors